Hey everybody, welcome back to Pomerium Live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I'm hanging out with my friend Andrew Brown. Andrew, how you doing today?
Hey everyone, it's going great. A little bit warm. I'm not used to the heat, but I guess it's better than the long winters. Oh, Nick, we lost your audio, but I'm sure we'll be back there in 2 seconds.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, no, I was on the wrong mic. I've got a better mic, and it was using my headphones in my up top there. This is a funny thing I always say to people whenever I'm live streaming. I'm never stressed out about live streaming or, you know, being thrown into code or talking to somebody. It's always like audio and video. Once that's all good, I'm like, I'm golden. So, anyways, yeah, great to have you, Andrew. For folks, I've known you for a while since I worked at Dev2, but for folks who might not know who you are, maybe just like a little TLDR of who you are, what you've been up to, and we can go from there.
Oh, sure. I'm a tech educator. I focus on creating certification courses for cloud, GenAI, all types of tech. I've been running lots of free boot camps. We just wrapped up our free GenAI cloud project boot camp that ran for I think 6 weeks, which we're probably
Okay.
going to do another cohort in the later year. Of course, GenAI is very popular, so we've been trying to explore it and get people domain skills in that. But yeah, that's what I do of recent.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I know you've done a lot of stuff in cloud, and in regards to the Gen AI, you were actually in Montreal. You were recording. Was it with, I can't remember, wasn't Intel. Who was it that you were?
Oh, Intel, yeah, it was Intel and AWS was the teaching materials that we had. It was with
Okay.
the Montreal AWS user group. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we you were in town, so dropped you a message and we grabbed some sushi, which was awesome. I always like being served sushi by a robot.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
What
So, yeah, yeah, sorry, go ahead,
I
go
just say every time I think of Montreal, I always think of a robot serving sushi.
ahead. Exactly. That
Yeah.
and poutine. I haven't been served poutine by a robot yet, but anyways, who knows? Maybe in the future. Yeah, so like the title of the stream is like let's build Daggerfall with Gen AI. And like I guess I dropped a link to your course. You have it's the Gen AI project. Folks can check that out in the chat. This is also something you do a lot of free content. Like obviously you have some paid stuff, but like for the most part, from what I've seen since I've known you, I would say like the majority is like just free content. You just want people to succeed, and I think that's awesome. And you've got all kinds of stuff on free code camp. I guess kind of before we get into like what we're gonna do today, I'm curious uh, why you went with that approach, because you obviously have a company and stuff, and like I'm a big fan of open source, and like I love putting stuff out myself too. But just kind of curious about that.
Oh, I just don't have the heart to charge people. I just love technology, and I for me, like my family's always been into volunteering and doing a lot of community work, and so the idea of just being able to do that and that being a business is awesome. I wish my business was a nonprofit. If it wasn't so hard to make and run a nonprofit, I'd probably be a nonprofit, just like Free Code Camp.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's just like what I like to do.
Awesome. Awesome. That's cool. And so like yeah, like you're saying, like one of the things you did recently was the Gen AI boot camp. And I guess we're going to kind of touch on that because that's what we're going to try to do today. And like we talked about this before the stream. Um Gen I would say it's still pretty new. And obviously it's AI, so like it's not so much like some all-knowing oracle or an actual person, even though when you talk to it, it seems like that sometimes. So like things aren't perfect, right? Like you could say like, I don't know, like build me a wall or like put a table in the center of the room, and it might not do that, or maybe it puts a table, but no, I meant a wood table or stuff like that. Like I guess from what you've seen and what you've done, because you've done a lot of Gen AI, like what are maybe some like before we get into stuff, but like what are like some gotchas or maybe some kind of like tidbits of like best practices or things to help people succeed in this, aside from your course, obviously? But
We had 12,000 people registered for the Gen AI boot camp, and I was doing manual grading. By the end of it, we had the people that actually made it all the way and did it correctly, 200, which is not unusual to have, about 1,000 people and then about 100, 200 people that properly complete it. It's just the way courses go, and
yeah,
especially the longer they go. But when you have that many people, you start to see where there are challenges and where there are not challenges. One thing that I thought with Gen AI was that people would be better at providing technical documentation, working through problems, things like that. But it was
yeah,
opposite. I've seen an erosion of communication technical skills. Um, so that is one challenge there. A lot of
yeah,
folks assume that because it can produce code that you can work with it. A lot of folks realize afterwards, oh, I actually need to know how to learn how to program.
yeah, yeah.
It was more of a like, and so that's why my next boot camps we're doing are fundamental boot camps, because
Okay.
it just made more of an emphasis on you really need to know how to do it, because yeah, you can stand something up, but after that you can't maintain it, you can't tweak it. With
Yeah,
even in my own company, there was for my next boot camp, I had delegated out a few tasks, and I was like, let's build a Discord bot. I got back something that technically worked, but I couldn't read the code. My
yeah,
programmer wrote the code, couldn't read the code. I had changed the technical spec on the back end, so I was like, change it. He went, oh, I don't know if it'll change it, right? And you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I,
yeah,
and I and I said, do you know where this is and where it is? Like how to change it? He's like, I don't know what I'm looking at. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't,
yeah.
you got to start over, right? And so I said, I'm like, does this look like code that you can read? Is it stateless classes or whatever? We asked it to
Mhm.
refactor, and I think it was like Claude 3.7, and at the time, and it was just making so much noise, and I just said, look, you gotta, I don't want you using Gen AI, just handwrite it. But then Claude 4 came out, and I
Yeah,
said, wait, let's go ask it to see if it can refactor it as stateless classes, and then it actually looked like readable code. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're getting closer to something that is stuff, but it's like if you don't know what maintainable, readable, good quality code looks like,
yeah,
um, that's going to be a problem, right? So,
totally.
things like that, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Like, I don't know, I'm an experience. I've done a lot of front ends, so like, even though I'm not like an accessibility expert or anything like that, there's a lot of stuff like I'm just pretty decent at, and I've been using tools like Bolt.new. I've been using Cursor, Windsurf, Agent Mode in VS Code now and stuff, and
Mhm.
you know, th- they do return pretty decent stuff, but like sometimes I'll be like, if we in the context of front end, I'll be like, this is good, but it's not accessible. This form needs the element needs a label, stuff like that. And this is to your point about like experience coming into play, because uh, and I think this is kind of an important thing in terms. I've had this conversation a couple times with people, but like, you know, like AI is at the forefront right now. There's pressure to deliver stuff, and I think it's kind of expected in a lot of cases to leverage AI in your work these days, even though it's still early days. So I feel like as an experienced person, it's giving me superpowers for sure. But I kind of wonder for the people starting out or early on in their career, with that pressure to ship because you have AI with you too, like maybe they're just like, I'm generalizing here, but like, oh, okay, well, it works. Ship it, like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you know?
think of kids in school, right? So they can generate out entire essays that sound very well articulated, but
Yeah.
they can't write two sentences, right? Like
Yeah.
it's that kind of challenge is that you still have to be able to do that fundamental skills, and I imagine schools are just going to outright ban and go to manual processes. I think the challenge for
Yeah.
teachers is that they're also using Gen AI to make their lives easier, right? And so
Yeah.
you'd have to convince both sides to go back to just doing it the old-fashioned way. I'm sure private schools will do that. Public sector, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but there was one boot camp. They were our best boot camper, but they had figured out a way. Like they're a very technical developer. They're now an AI researcher, and their approach was like, I'm going to make sure that like I know how to write good code, but I'm going to keep iterating on my prompts and my techniques
Yeah.
until it produces good code. And they figured out this abstraction on top of Windsurf or Cursor that went beyond a rule set, like to tell it how to do prompting and all these specific prompts. And they produced really, really good code, and they were like well beyond it. And so I feel like as developers or engineers or whatever the technical
Yeah.
term is, there's like that meme where there's the person digging for diamonds and they just stop short of it. I think
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
have to spend that's a lot of time figuring out that workflow, and assuming the tools don't change on you, that you can get stuff. But
yeah.
there's a big uplift for folks, and it's not about watching prompts; it's about thinking and being an active participant.
Yeah, totally. Also, just want to say hi to Ashley over on LinkedIn there. I still have this bug with LinkedIn. I can't comment on my own live streams. It always says failed to comment, but if I'm on somebody else's, it's no problem. And I've kind of given up. So now I just give people shout outs. Um, that said, yeah, it's just interesting times. I'm curious to see where it goes with education because the other thing too is like they're going to be using this in the workforce at some point as well, so also not teaching them is not to use it as well, like that's where you got to find a balance, I guess. But it's just, yeah, it's just interesting times. But yeah, so let's kind of talk about Daggerfall, or what we talked about a couple things here. We said like um you were thinking about a Japanese learning game, which could be a lot easier to do.
Well,
Uh,
we if we want to build something successful, I definitely
yeah.
know that the scope can be handled there, but it might be
Okay.
boring. It might be
Okay.
interesting to try to see if we can code Daggerfall and see what challenges we have as
Yeah.
technical folks trying to think, okay, what would be the next step and where does it fall short? I do have
Yeah.
Windsurf, a Windsurf subscription. That is the flag that I fly is the Windsurf team. Um,
Cool. Cool.
and do you want to just jump into it and see what happens?
Yeah. Let's give it a go, because I think just before we get started, this is you kind of mentioned it, but like I think we have to, you know, you can't just be randomly prompting. Like sometimes I vibe code and I'm just like, I know it's stuck in a loop, but I'm just tired and it's not something super important. I'm just like, fix it, fix it. But in terms of prompting, or it's just really good communication. That's really what it is, and like conveying what you're trying to produce. And that's, it's kind of like you have to have those good soft skills to do that, like be able to communicate effectively with the prompt, or with the LLMs essentially. So yeah, I'd say why don't we give it a go. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what the game Daggerfall is, so I feel a
Good.
little silly.
Oh, it's okay.
So
It's an old
I
one.
know I know Wolfenstein. Is it like
Okay.
similar, or
No, no. But, I mean, yeah, yes and no. Like, the graphics-wise, yes. Gameplay,
okay?
no. But, we'll jump into it, but it's before Morrow. Have you played the Elder Scrolls games?
I have not. I'm like old school 2D games. I played a lot of like King's Quest and Space
Mhm.
Quest. So
I
so
remember
like
those.
and I'm still like love Nintendo original games like Super Mario, Super Mario 3. I have an Xbox, but I don't play too much aside from Let's Dance. But
Cool.
anyways, yeah, let's just jump into it. If you want to go ahead and share your screen, and then I'll just pop your screen on the screen.
Sure, yep.
Cool. And let's see, where's your screen? I don't see your screen. It should pop up. Oh, there you go. Sorry, it was hiding.
There we go. Alright, so
Cool. Let
hopefully
me
ev
just move
oh,
us
sorry,
over
can you see my
here.
screen?
Yeah, it's all good.
There we go. Okay, great. So I'm in Windsurf here. We're going to start a new project, and I like to put everything in my sites directories. Let's make a new directory called Daggerfall. We don't need GenAI to make a folder. I mean, we could,
Yeah.
and I want to get this open in Windsurf. So I want the context to be here. So right now I'm somewhere else. I'm in OmniGem. So I'm going to go to Open Folder, and we'll go to
Yeah.
Daggerfall. Open a new one. Maybe there's one behind here. I'm just gonna 1 second here. I'm gonna just close out my Japanese
Um,
language learning back there,
yeah.
and
I'll
oh, sorry.
ask you one thing. I can see your screen, but do you think you could? I know
Oh
people
yeah,
might.
bump up the font. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that, and I don't know, maybe switch to a light theme, even though you're not usually
Oh,
into light
sure.
theme.
Yeah, yeah. No problem.
Like I said, I can read it, but I know sometimes people, just to make sure most people can see this.
Yeah, let's figure out where that is.
Yeah, do
I
Command Shift P and then type theme.
and the
Just
first one
yeah,
maybe? No, 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 no. Color picker.
uh, yeah, and then just should pop up. I think it's like there's default light or something.
Oh, they
And
really do.
any of them that don't hurt your eyes too bad. But yeah, no, that's just better. Also for the recording, people will be able to see it better after. Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Tokyo Nightlight. There we go. Okay,
All right.
and so we are in here in this. When I work with any kind of GenAI projects that are going to be, well, anything I'm going to code that's going to be GenAI driven, my technical spec is the most important thing. I spend so much time writing my technical spec. I like the approach of because I just used to work for so many startups and I had to waterfall projects super quickly to make a bunch of money. And
Okay.
so I like to write all my specs up front and then tell it to go at it, which is actually a bad process I learned in the long run. Like it can do it to some degree, but you end up having to
Yeah.
spend a lot of time fixing code. Fine for web apps, but for video games like this, not going to work. We're going to have a new
Okay.
file here called tech spec. And the idea is that we are making the game Daggerfall. Let's understand what Daggerfall is. Daggerfall is a game, I think from 1996 or something. It was
Okay.
wildly acclaimed because it was a 3D RPG. And the aspects of the game that were really interesting, we're not going to focus on this part. We're going to focus on the world generation because
Okay.
that was something that was really interesting. That um, it it had all these little dots. I'm not sure if I can find this. Daggerfall, let's say roads. Let's see if I can find this. Um, but the idea of the game is that it would generate out, yeah, here. It would generate out that world map, and then it would generate out like procedurally all these little
Okay.
towns. And the idea is you have to figure out like, okay, how do I generate terrain and things like that to make the world? Then how do I
Yeah.
decide where to place towns and stuff like that? And so to me, that just makes it the world really, really interesting. Um, but anyway, it's an RPG. You go around, or action RPG, Western action RPG. So you go around, you got a sword, you hit monsters, you go to towns, right? Um,
Yeah.
so there is something that we can take a look at that kind of resembles, and if we have a hard time, maybe we can kind of cheat and use this. There's a thing called
Yeah.
Progenesis. And somebody used this before GenAI. And what they did is they made a world generator. So there are some ads here, but I want to give an idea of what we're trying to build. And so
Okay.
here it has a world with a bunch of settings. And what
Yeah.
we'll do is we'll go ahead and just hit generate map. And so that's going to go along here, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. And that's going to generate out a world. I'm going to take that off screen as we're waiting. But let's go
Okay.
ahead and make it. So like we do want to make a Daggerfall clone, but really what we're doing is uh, fantasy procedural world generation,
Yeah.
fantasy world generation. Actually, I don't mind that it's helping me as I go. And so the idea is we need to
Yeah.
describe what it is that we want to do. So, if you've never built one of these things, you think, okay, how do I build a procedurally generated game? We can use the cascade over here and talk, but I don't want to waste my credits. So I'll just open up Claude or ChatGPT.
Okay.
And actually, the world I'm not sure if you hear sound effects on my side, but um,
I heard him.
okay. And so here it generated this world, and so you can go around here. I'm not sure why there's a hard line there, but it generated out this world. And if you hover over it, it'll actually say like this is a shallow ocean, this is a tropical rainforest, this is a seasonal forest. And I also
Okay.
believe that it generated out like where cities could be. And if I go here, I think there's like a weird ad, so I can't get to the 3D mode. And I don't mean to be in mobile. But let's see if I can see there's like a thing here. And I want to find the nav. Where's the nav? Where's the nav? Let's go here. And I'm just going to Z index this to the top. And then
Okay.
so I can go here, but they have like a view as 3 planet. And so this will use 3JS and render the
Okay.
same world, which by the way, it's actually hard to render a round world,
Yeah.
surprisingly. But
This is very cool, by the way.
yeah. So imagine like you generate out your world and then there's cities, right? And then you have like a basis of a world to then layer a game on top of it. Like I want to travel here to there. And have you ever played the game Oregon Trail?
Yeah.
So I like that game, but I like the idea of having this world map, fantasy world map, and you play like Oregon Trail style where you have to go to places and manage your resources. And I think that would be really, really fun. I don't think we'll get that far, but let's see if we can even generate out a world. So
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up ChatGPT, which I have over here. You can see I do a lot of Japanese language learning over here. And I was just fixing my washer, so I was asking it questions there. But I want to have an idea like how would you build a procedurally generated world? So, I want to build a procedurally generated world. for a video game, think like Daggerfall's world.
Okay.
What procedurally generated steps do I need to
Okay.
make
So you're prompting to
the
get
world?
the prompt.
Yes. And hi,
I
Sam.
do
Welcome to
this a
the
lot.
stream. And
Oh
so we're
yeah.
going,
Hey Sam. Good to see you, man.
and so to precision generate a world like Daggerfall, which is vast and modular, you'll need to structure your world generation in layers, and that's true. So from global structure to local details. And so here goes world grid definition. So split the world into cells or regions. Use Perlin simplex noise or Voronoi diagrams. Add latitude based or altitude based adjustments, hotter, near, stuff like that. Generate terrain, heights, and things like that. So this is like, I'm really good at building web apps. I'm not really good at this stuff because this starts to get into like math. And even though I did really well in math, I didn't stick with it long enough with these kind of algorithms. But I do know that we need to figure out some Voronoi diagrams, because if you had to build a world, where would you start? And the first place that you start to figure out where to make continents is by figuring out your tectonic plates, right? So
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even think it says it here. So if we can look here, I don't see anything about tectonic plates. So going here, like terrain, shouldn't shouldn't we start with a world with tectonic plates? And
Yeah.
I just know that because I was prompting it before, trying to figure out the process, right? It says starting with tectonic plates. So Daggerfall didn't do it, but if you want to build a believable geography, mountain ranges, and continental drift effects, start with this. So that's
Okay.
probably what I want to do. And so the idea is that first you have to think, well, what is a tectonic plate?
Yeah.
I
Good
think I know.
old tectonic plates.
I think I know what it is.
It's where prior to the world, it was all one piece, and then they started moving around and going over each other. And it's
That
like I think Australia was part of
is it. It is.
North
Look.
America at some point.
Oh, I don't know. But so what we know about tectonic plates is that they exist and that they move in a direction, and where they push into is where mountain ranges are formed, and so that gives you an idea of where elevation can be formed. And that's actually how this progenesis is working. The reason I know
Okay.
this is that I went and I found the code and I obfuscated it, and then I read through it and figured out how the stuff was working, because I actually tried this before and I couldn't get it to work with GenAI. But now that I have some hindsight, maybe we can
Yeah.
make it a little bit farther. So the first step, first of all, what is this going to run in? Right? Is it
Yeah, that's what I was curious. Is this like running in Unity, or like what are we even programming in? I
let's
guess.
technologies? But we
Yeah.
have three things we can render in. We can use Phaser, the Phaser game engine. I think that might be a bit too hard. We can use just render it on Canvas. I think that might be the easiest, or
Yeah.
3GS. Now, I'd love it to be in 3GS, but not to start with. So I think at the start, we're going to talk about technical specifications. And so this is going to be HTML and native JavaScript.
Yeah.
We'll say native browser JavaScript. So it really knows what we're talking about here. This WebAssembly, I don't want that. We'll just say Canvas
Yeah.
for rendering. And I think
I think that
that's
makes
all.
sense.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I think Canvas makes sense for what we're doing. Yeah.
Okay. And so that's going to be the basis of what we want. Let's go ahead and we'll make a new index.html file. And I'm going to go over to here, and we are in the, I do not want Cloud 3.7. I do not like Cloud 3.7. But I don't think there's many, they don't have 4 on here. This is my problem for not being on, what do you call it?
Cursor.
Cursor, though I do
Yeah.
really like Windsurf. But here, what I want to do is I want to set up an index file. So like, can we, reading the tech spec, can we set up an index.html that renders an empty area for a map? Now let's see what
Yeah.
it tries to do. So that'll be kind of interesting. But there are things that we need to understand, like what is the thing. I'm trying to find the tab. I think I lost it. Oh, here it is. We need to generate out these. They called it up here something. The word for it. Started with a V.
Not vector.
Voronoi or something. It had a
The
strange word.
diagrams.
Yeah. Oh, here it
Where
is.
was it?
Voronoi
Yeah.
diagrams. Yeah. Okay. So this is Voronoi diagrams is, as far as I understand, it picks random spots and then it breaks up random lines. And so the idea is you can kind of get like a natural way of producing this. And so procedural like steps to layers of world generation. And so the idea is I'm going to describe it here, and I'm not necessarily using this as a prompt. I'm just writing this as a technical documentation for my own reference here. Let's go take a look
Okay.
and see what it did. I'm not sure why it's not in agent mode. I keep expecting it to be in agent mode, but that's
Isn't
fine.
Cascade? Doesn't it default to agent mode Cascade
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Well, you know what? It's been since the boot camp's wrapped up. I've been just coding manually, and so strangely enough,
Okay.
when you walk away from something for 2 weeks, you start to forget. Um, but here it says run the command. Let me check if the is more thoroughly understand requirements. Sure. I guess it didn't actually start writing it. It wanted to check it. Sometimes it can't get into files, which is kind of annoying. Um, and that's fine. And we'll just go ahead and edit it. So I think it gets stuck. I don't because of permissions. You know what? I didn't save the file. That's why.
Ah, okay, okay. I auto save my stuff. I do that. I don't know if other people like it, but like when I lose focus, I auto format stuff too, and I don't know. I just got super lazy.
And so we'll try this again and ask it to check. But the idea is that we want to form these, but we'll continue on with our docs. So layers of world generation. The first is tectonic plates. Tectonic plate generation. Use to generate tectonic plates, right? And
Okay.
uh, the other thing is like I think like that Progenesis is cool because I can read through the code and figure out how it works, but I can't see the steps by steps that it generates out. And
Okay.
I
Yeah.
wish when I made it, it had it. Oh yeah, Perl and noise. That's cool. I think it's like determine directions of or yeah, determine directions of plate movements. I
Let's
know
see.
that's one thing.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So in the game, they're actually gonna move. You mean?
Well, in order to determine where you would make the mountain ridges, you have to
Yeah.
know just generally like what direction a plate is moving and how much force it's moving with.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
so, but here we'll go back over to here and take a look. So we have a bunch of junk. I always say that we're using Claude 3.7, but we'll take a look at what we have. So we have body map containers. Okay, we have the map canvas. 2D looks fine. Map container, load, resize, init map looks pretty good to me. It looks all readable to me, so I'm going to accept it. We could take this and break it off into index.html. I don't
Yeah.
care right now. Hey, Lizzie, how you doing? Yeah, we're trying to
Yeah.
make Daggerfall. I'm not sure how successful we'll be, but we're going to learn whether it can be done or not in the short amount
Yeah.
of time that we're working on here. And I'm not paying attention to time, but when the lights go out, just tell me.
Yeah, okay. Also, to be clear, what we're doing here today, like I don't think realistically we're gonna build a full blown game, but I think it's just cool to see the approaches and to see how far we can get. I think that's really the goal for me. So
So we have a map area canvas, and I think I like how Progenesis was doing, where I keep saying Progenesis, it's Proc Genesis, but it looked like it was doing per pixel as a representation of a spot, which I like. But now we have this base thing. What I want to do is draw the Voronoi diagram, right? So that is
yeah,
our second step. So what I want to do here is I would probably go ahead and start committing my code because that way I'll have a bit of a history. And if I need to roll back, I can clearly see. That's the big problem with GenAI. It generates out so much. Like sometimes you can't even see always what it's doing. And so, I mean,
yeah,
yes, you can here, but I'm just used to traditional Git tools. So we'll go ahead
yeah.
and just say git add, git commit. Oh,
And while you're doing that, Lizzie's saying I'm currently trying to get GenAI to make me an app from scratch. So this is interesting. So
cool.
cool. Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
take a
Sorry, you're saying it.
Oh, sorry, yes. Using
No,
the is for the initial branch, the branch is subject to change. Everyone uses main now, so we'll go ahead and change it to main. And so I'll say git branch, and what branch am I on right now? I don't think did it initialize?
I'm not sure
branch
if you get
list.
init or
Oh, let's try it
oh,
again.
there we go.
Reinitialize. Okay, and I'll go get at all, and we'll go over to here, and it doesn't think I initialized the repo, but that's fine. Get status. That's why I got these old style skills. And we'll say get add all, get status. Let's make sure we know what we're committing. This is a big habit I have with my juniors is that they just go get add all. I go, no, always
Yeah,
check what you're committing. And yeah, it is called master branch right now. So we'll go here, just say get checkout hyphen B to main, and we'll do get status again. It will say get add all, get status, and
yeah,
oh yeah, it is there. So get commit hyphen M render empty world,
nice
empty canvas, right? So the idea is that I want to
progress.
do this in sections, and also if you're a developer and you want to have proof of work that you actually are doing the work, doing these individual commits is a really good thing, and this is what I really encourage folks to do. Anthony, what's Daggerfall, by the way? Sorry for coming late. Daggerfall is a game from 1996. It was a procedurally generated RPG. It was groundbreaking for its time, and it's just the idea of procedurally generating a fantasy world seems really fun to me. So we have this one here, and the next step is how do we render out Veroni diagrams? I have no idea how to do this, so we're going to go over to here,
Yeah,
and I'm going to ask
sounds
it
like a pasta. I'd like a Veroni with pesto, please. Uh,
exactly. Uh, uh, can we generate out a well? Before we do that, because we're going to have a bit of JavaScript, can we refactor out our JavaScript to be in a do you like app.js or index.js? What or main.js? What do you like, Nick?
we can. It varies because like when you use a framework, they output differently. But let's go index. Let's go old school.
And folks, when you're working on teams, it's very important to go and ask, like, what do people want and things like that, because team cohesion is such an important thing, right? And GenAI doesn't necessarily know that, so you can make those in your rules. But let's go ahead and see what it's doing. We can refactor our code. Oh, it created it. Okay, great. So we'll go over to here. The
Cool.
editor could not open the file. The file was not found. Oh, it's there. Come on. Is it not there? There we go. And
Yeah.
so here it is. It looks fine. And notice that every time I'm doing this, I'm checking to see what it did. Notice that it kept the old code. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
over to here and oh, it hasn't finished yet.
Oh, I
I'm
was
not
gonna
sure.
say, you mind bumping the screen just by one in
Sure,
your
yeah.
editor? Cool. Nice.
And there we go. So it refactored that out. Let's take a look at the commits.
Okay.
Refresh. Am I happy with them? It's refactored out. This feels like a chunk. I'm going to go ahead and commit this. So say get commit hyphen. Well, we can just do it right here on the side, I guess.
Cool.
I like how there's a generate button. I don't use that. Well, let's try it for fun.
There we go.
Sure. It's not how I would write it, but that's fine. So that's now committed. So now we have that code. So now it should be easier for us to work with this. We'll accept all.
Yeah.
But we want to do that Veroni or Veroni stuff. So we'll go here and say Veroni.
Yeah.
Well, what do we want to do? We want to create a function that will render out Veroni diagrams for our tectonic plates in Canvas. And we are using plain JavaScript. I can't remember if we get
Yeah.
classes now these days, and my memory is too old, so I don't know what's new and
Yeah.
what's old anymore.
Yeah. Well, classes. Well, there was prototype before, which was like essentially classes added some syntactic sugar to that, but I don't know, like for a lot of the front end code I've done, it's typically been just functions generally. But there's still like there are valid use cases to use classes, and honestly, it's also a style. Like whether you want to go object oriented or not, and people have definitely strong opinions about that. So
Well, it's just choose your poison, right? Like I personally just don't like having too much because I've had complex Rails apps where like you can't figure out where the instance data is, and it makes hard to do testing. And this is really important when building data-based, data-driven apps as well. But I make stateless classes because then I can easily test my inputs and outputs. But the code
yeah,
ends up more verbose. But what matters is what your team wants to use together, right? Because at the end of the day, the
oh yeah,
entire project of your
100.
team is more important. request is taking longer than expected. I know that Claude had some outages the other, like Opus the other day, so this might be the reason
Okay.
why it's running so slow.
That's all good. Yeah, no, this is also it's kind of nice you're doing it in plain JavaScript because like this is just a side note, but like I'm a big proponent of just build stuff, and you like whether you learn the framework first or fundamentals, you're gonna learn both at some point. But it's kind of nice to see some stuff because like if people are used to React, where you just say like click and stuff, it's good to expose like add event listener and stuff, just so people can that this is where it all comes from. So
I mean, my approach to coding is that I like to have the least amount of moving parts, and I try to keep things really simple. And then when I have justification, I will bump it up to, let's say, a framework. So I'll probably get tired of JavaScript at one point and go, you know what, let's use TypeScript. And I'll go, you know
yeah,
what, let's use TypeScript with, whatever it is. But until we
yeah,
have those justifications, I like woodworking. And the thing is like you should only build with what you need. And so like
yeah,
people might want to run out and buy every power tool, but the idea is or hand tool. But the idea is just like until you need it, then use it. And
yeah,
that's sort of the
totally.
mindset I have. But it is taking way too long. It shouldn't take this long. So we're gonna go over here, maybe because we gave it a hard task. But I'm gonna switch
Yeah,
over to something else and we'll try promo 0.25 credits. That actually is pretty low. This one's on 1 times credit. So we'll go over to here and we'll say,
okay,
try again because it shouldn't take that long.
yeah,
And maybe it's Claude here today that's causing the issue. Now that's failing us. We can just go over to ChatGPT or Claude and then copy the
yeah.
code over manually. It's not a big deal, but it's a shame. I'm paying money. I want to be able to use my API. So just to be productive
Burning those
here,
credits.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna grab it over here. And I'll have to give it context, which is kind of embarrassing, but I'm gonna go grab this here. And I've been having a lot better luck. Well, actually, Claude 4 is actually okay, but I've been just more over on the ChatGPT side here. To render
Yeah,
Voronoi diagrams, you can use a library like D3 Delani. I remember it saying this quite a bit to generate Voronoi cells and set points representing plates. But
okay.
do we need it? Okay.
Yeah. Well, D3 is pretty heavily used in data visualization. So it's almost kind of like the gold standard if you're going to do any kind of data visualization, typically in SVG. But I wonder if it does. Ask if Delani supports Canvas because we're in Canvas at the moment.
I think I remember investigating this before, and we can ask it, but I remember researching it before, and it does use Canvas. But what
Okay,
we'll
cool.
do is we'll go over to here to D3 Delani, and they actually have one specifically for maps, but here's for the
Oh,
Voronoi
okay.
diagrams, right? Um, but I kind of wonder, like, what did that other place use? Because I don't think they used any. This is cool looking, but they didn't use anything. So I'm under the impression because that other generator didn't use anything that we don't
Yeah,
need it either. Yeah, it's here. It says Canvas Path Methods API, so it makes me think that. But worst case, we
yeah,
could use D3. I just was trying not to use any dependencies. But we'll go
yeah.
here and take a look. What's this?
Yeah, what I'd do here is like if I was doing this, I'd probably take a screenshot or like even reference for the D3 Delani and say, can we do this without it or something, and then it
Hmm.
shows what it potentially looks like. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world to have a dependency, but yeah, I get what you mean. Like, anytime you added a dependency, it's just like, you know, I don't know, just software bill of materials just getting bigger and bigger. So
Well, let's see us fail the native JavaScript way, and then we'll bring in Delani because it has both for us here, right?
okay,
And so here it has a function, and then it has a init. It says for slow canvases, 1,000 because it checks every pixel against every seed. If that's a problem, use a grid
okay,
every 2 pixel steps. Okay. So I don't know what that means. We're going to go ahead. I mean, you need to know what things mean, and then that way it becomes a bit easier. But it
yeah.
looks like, oh, did it actually make it?
Oh, let's give it a go. And
Okay. Well, what did it use? Did it just use raw JavaScript? You know what? It
looks
looks like
like
it
it.
did. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's writing the context for the canvas there. It's writing all the stuff. So I don't know, like looks potentially okay. We'll
And it
see.
didn't, and I don't even think we told it to not use D3. I think it just knew because it picked up from the tech specs, right? If
Okay.
you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you want an animation library in TypeScript, try Motion Canvas. So that sounds cool. Let's go ahead
Oh, nice.
and I guess see if this code does anything. So we'll go back up to here in our local host. It's being served by Python. I usually use wow. Okay, there we go. But the question is like the code we generate, do we understand it? Right?
Yeah,
Because normally what people would do next is they would just go ahead and keep going. We just vibe coding, right? But I
yeah,
think it's like important to understand exactly what you're looking at before you proceed forward. So
yeah, totally.
let's take a look up here. So we have resize canvas. If and it's covering the text here. There we go. That's better. Um, if tectonic plates are generated, re-render. So here, otherwise do that. That's pretty clear. I'm
Yeah.
happy with that one. Um, generate random. And when you're using GenAI, do you go individually each one and review it like this?
It depends what I'm doing. So like if I'm just like a lot of times I'm just like for example like in Bolt or even Cursor or Windsurf, I'll just I'll just say start building stuff with like I'm using like some common building blocks like Tailwind and Shadcn. So like I will review it, but like I actually first well kind of what you did. Does it actually look like something that is right? And if it does, then I look at it and that's when I review it. So yeah, I guess kind of like what you're doing right now.
I think for front end because I mean this is comes back to the Rails ecosystem. It's like if you follow conventions, things are very boring. Is that
Yeah,
like you can at a glance know like yeah this code looks correct or not. Like you can sense the it's like a sixth sense. It's like you can look at front end code or generally
yeah,
back end code. When it comes to this kind of creative programming, I'm just like a lot more honed in because it's doing a lot more than just here's an endpoint that goes to here. Um,
yeah,
but generate random points for tectonic plates and center. So it goes here and it's generating random points. So I'm assuming those are the points that it's generating here.
yeah. The
Mhm.
one thing I wonder about the random generation is it looks like they're all centered on each tectonic plate.
I maybe that's how. The question is that how Veroni works?
Oh yeah, it's true. I don't know
Oh,
actually.
I
So
don't know either.
if
But that's what I mean. Is like we need to understand what it is that we're doing. So we go
yeah.
here and are like okay, and actually that might be something we could do. So we could take a screenshot here
Oh, I guess they're not exactly centered, but it looked like a bunch of them were pretty centered though.
and we can go here and say and we'll go to chat here. So this is the output. It looks great. Are the dots supposed? I think I know they are, but supposed to be in the
Yeah.
center of the plates. And how does the generation work exactly? Right.
Yeah.
And while it's generating out, we're going to read this. So points are being put here randomly. It has random colors for plates, which is fine, I suppose. It's calculated a simple Veroni diagram. And so here it goes coals, rows, Voronoi,
Okay.
Voronoi. Anyone in the audience, if you know a better pronunciation, please let me know. And so it iterates through this. And
Yeah.
then we have a cell size saying like, make the cell size generally this size and whatever, and then render them out.
Yeah. What one thing I see there is like, is that a performance issue because you've got like three for loops nested? Like I don't know if it's like, because usually that's like I mean, maybe it's unavoidable because you're literally going through each column, then every row, every column, and then you're setting a point. So maybe it's just unavoidable. But and like
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know because I'm bad at comp sci, but that's where we would make a note and say, is this big O whatever. Um, the white dots are in the center of the tectonic plates. Each dot corresponds to a randomly generated seed point and acts as the origin of a tectonic plate. Here's a step-by-step breakdown. The function creates a set number of random points with the canvas. Each point
yeah,
represents a center of tectonic plate. And so that sounds like interesting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a new folder here. I'm going to call it docs. And I'm going to make another one in here. I don't know why. We'll just call it generate. And I'm going to make
mhm,
one in here and we'll call this tectonic plates.md.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure if this is good, but what are the dots? But I'm going to just put this here for now as a scrap board. But really, we should improve these as we go. I'm just hoping that it
Mhm.
doesn't pick up like as the prompt doesn't like there's probably a way to like say ignore these files, but I don't want it to focus on these files,
Okay. Yeah.
so to speak. Um, but the idea is that we'll just dump those in there as reference. So we have those there. One thing I don't like is I don't like that we just have a bunch of functions in here. I would
Yeah.
rather have this as a I mean I like classes and I probably might want this as a separate file. So is that okay if I what do you think, Nick?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'd like it just makes sense to break it up and also like just yeah have functions in like utility folders or like relevant files. I think that's a definitely definitely a useful thing to do.
So I'm gonna go here and say working Voroni. I'm dyslexic, folks. So if I have typos, I have to bear and grin them. Voroni. Uh, create initial tectonic. Oh, these words are killing me. Tech. I'm gonna go over to here. You know what? I like this
Uh,
feature now.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, I was gonna say like that's one thing. I remember talking with my friend Matt McInnes from Virtual Coffee, and sorry, not LLMs in general are pretty good with spelling mistakes. Like if it, like so like sometimes I used to always be like, oh no, I didn't spell it correctly, and then now it's like when I just like get fat fingers on the keyboard, I'm just like I know it's good to know. So
Refactor the tectonic plate code into its own file as a class, as a I'm gonna call it stateless class. I like stateless classes. That just means that we don't make like we don't try to make instances of things.
yeah.
Um, I think in Ruby they called them like Ruby simple objects or something. I don't know. Um,
I'm curious if it's gonna get this right because like most people are used to using like ESM and frameworks and stuff. This is like it should be doing a script tag with type module and then in there like importing and stuff. Like I'm just curious to see what it does.
There is a way to I don't do this often in Windsurf. I mean I should. All my boot campers I set it as a task for my boot campers to do, but I never did it myself. But in Windsurf, there's like Windsurf rules. I'm sure
Yeah.
if you've used Cursor, then you probably know about their rules as well. Like how do I make a Windsurf rule file? Um how do I make one? You think I would
It's
know.
there's there's like so many it's funny but I was vibe coding a rules like picker or like to generate it for like cursor or for windsurf and stuff. There's windsurf rules, there's cursor rules, there's like cursor rules.md I think or like there's just like different formats for some reason but and
Oh, they show me an example here. I don't know why there's numbering, but one, use stateless classes when writing features, implement them as stateless classes. Okay.
it'd be interesting. We don't necessarily need to do it now but like
Mhm.
at the end, once you have your stuff committed, is just have one prompt that says convert this project to TypeScript, and I'm curious if it would be able to do it.
Sorry, converted. Oh yeah, maybe.
Like at the end, like like let's progress on
Mhm.
this, obviously, but
I was in chat mode, unfortunately, but it's gonna. It looks like it made some good stuff here, but
okay.
I don't have a rule two. But like obviously our tech spec has some of the stuff, but I assume this one is more like I don't know.
Yeah, these are
I'm
yeah, it's
guessing.
just general guidelines. Like I think I know in VS Code at least you can have like a project level rules, and you can also have just general rules. But
Mhm.
and I feel like this too is like coming from like I've been in software development for a long time, you know, there used to be coding guidelines. Well, there's still coding guidelines. I shouldn't say that, but like I remember working at some places like there was a literal document. These are the C# best practices that we're using and stuff. And I feel like the cursor rules are like kind of the new, or the windsurf rules or VS Code rules. That's the new, like, here's our coding standards for one yourself, but also like for the LLMs. So uh, yeah,
I mean, basically, that's yeah, that is what it is. How to optimize it, I'm not sure, but
yeah,
it just requires people having 2 3 weeks and just trying to make it do what people want it to do until they get the results, right?
yeah,
Um,
no, totally.
so and it's naming it as tectonic plates. I think that's fine. And so this might be something like, when naming files, like what kind of file format should they be? I personally like lowercase underscore. Obviously, if I'm building a
Yeah,
React app, I'm not sure if this is standard, but I name them
yeah,
title case. Is that
yeah.
okay?
It's Pascal case, but I did notice one thing. Once I started using Shad CN, like their base UI components, they use lowercase uh, to differentiate, I guess. But yeah, again, it gets back to coding standards. But I learned that initially when I started React. Like, even though it's JavaScript, you go Pascal or title case for like components.
And yeah, Lizzie's saying like if you want to ignore the context, it can sometimes be useful to start a new chat window.
Yeah,
And I do that quite a lot. Is I'll restart well, not here obviously, but right now I don't know it's really struggling, but it gave us the code. So if
yeah,
it's not going to do it, we'll just do it by hand here. And this is where I kind of feel like we gain productivity, but then we also don't gain productivity when we're just waiting around here.
yeah,
Um, so create this file. Now I probably want to put it in a folder. I guess I'll call it lib. I don't really have a good name. Unless you have a suggestion, I'll take suggestions.
yeah. We can go with lib.
Tectonic plates JS, and we will paste that in here. Then we'll go down below, and then this is the updated index.js. So we'll go over to this.
Okay.
And we will copy this. It doesn't, does it? Oh, it has an insert. Why didn't I just press insert this entire? Oh no, just dropped it in the wrong spot. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay, got you. Yeah,
And then we'll go here and we'll paste it in. So like it's hard to say. Like I wouldn't be able to do Veroni plates this fast, but at the same time, some of these other things I'm wasting my time on. But we now
yeah.
have this stuff in place. I keep thinking those are errors, but they're not.
Check one other thing because I have a feeling it might not load right now. But
Oh, you know what? I didn't include it anywhere, did I?
well, yeah, if you go to the index.html, you
Hmm.
have to change it to add an attribute to the script tag, say type equals module.
Oh, okay.
So you have to do type equals module because this is stuff people don't typically see because they're working in a framework and they just open up a JS or TypeScript file and say import like you have there.
Oh, and we imported
But
up
for
here.
JavaScript to recognize it when we're doing it like this, you have to say the type is module so that you can use ESM imports.
My knowledge is so old that I was just gonna drop it in the requirements in here, like script import tectonic plates. Um, but I didn't know it does if it does modules like that. That's really cool. Let's take a look at what the error is. It says cannot use import statement outside a module. Cannot use an
Okay.
import statement outside a module. So if we go
Oh,
back,
it's cached, I think, because if you look at the
ah,
HTML right now, it's still got uh it doesn't show the type module on what we just added.
I
See, it
see.
says
Okay.
just src index.
And so what I'll do, I'm not sure if it's the server that we're serving it with, but we'll go over to here wherever that is. Oops. And we'll just stop that, restart it back up. I don't know if this caches. I don't usually use Python. I use HTTP, the one with the turtle with the rocket, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We'll
I,
just call it Turtle Rocket because it's escaping me at the moment.
I always use that one because it's a turtle rocket. I'm just the marketing soul. Let's see if this renders out.
Okay, the site
And
can't be. Oh, it's still loading.
is that correct? It's
What's
8,000. I put
oh,
80. It's my fault. And so we still
okay,
don't have anything. Let's go take a look here. There's no
okay.
errors. We'll
If you look at the tag though for the script that you import,
mhm,
I have a feeling. No, in the actual, not there because we've changed it. But if you look in here, if you open up the head tag, I think
mhm.
that's where you have it.
I
Oh,
thought
there's
it was
not
in
even a.
body. I
Yeah,
thought it was
okay.
in
I don't
body
even see
here,
it now.
yeah.
Why is it missing?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, is it missing wait, can't tell if it was there or not. We have a rendering issue now.
What's it not like?
We could ask AI, but being old school, just
Just do Command Z, undo until it looks good. Okay, that seems okay, I think. Okay, it doesn't look
strange.
like there's any errors now. Okay.
So we'll go back
That's the
here.
other thing. HTML is very forgiving, so if you have like open tags and stuff, it'll still render. I feel like it'll work now because it seems fine. And
Well, now it says file not found. Oh, that makes sense because we put in a lib folder. So we'll
oh
go
yeah,
back
yeah,
over
yeah,
here. And but you can't really get this. You can't really get this like live experience with. Maybe they will one day. But
there we go.
if AI could like talk to me like you're talking to me and work
Yeah.
through it, that'd be really cool. So that looks really good. And again, just because I'm in the habit of it, we'll go ahead here and we'll just ask it to generate. Well, it's a little bit slow. The only reason I'm doing this is I can't type the word tectonic plates. Extract tectonic plate
It's all good.
logic from the stateless class and add windsurf rule file.
Yeah, I like the approach of doing the commits as we're going through things, just in terms of a learning experience.
Well, and then also you can kind of like peel it back, right? Like I always try
Mhm.
to do this, like especially if I'm building an open source project, because I always think about like if somebody was because that's why I learn stuff. I take things apart. Like I said, the reason I know how to do this is I just found one that worked online and I
Yeah.
obfuscated their code and then looked at exactly how they did it. Um, but I think that if you leave a trail, then other people might follow it and then want to do the same thing and then take it further or talk to you, create opportunities. I know that's worked for me in my career. So that's refactored out. Now, the next thing we need to do, like when you're building video games, I learned this early on, is that if you can try to make them deterministic. And actually, the one that we have has a seed that you can enter in, so that it always is the same result. So I want this to be deterministic right away. So I'm going to go over to here, and we'll say, can we make our code like our code generation, our code deterministic?
Okay. Because we don't want to keep randomly changing what the game like.
Well, we do want procedurally generated stuff, but like even if we weren't building a procedurally generated game, like let's say we're building up, there was a game I wanted to build called Swap and Pop back in 2016, and what I was doing, I don't know if you know the game's Tetris Attack.
I know Tetris, not Tetris Attack, but
Tetris Attack, it has its own little following. It's a very very fun competitive game called Tetris
okay,
Attack, and so I wanted to clone this game for a Discord community. And I made the game so it was like 1-to-1 pixel perfect to the original game mechanics. But when you
okay,
want to do multiplayer, you need to be deterministic, because if you can deterministic like have a guarantee that's going to be in the same state, if you give it the same seed, then
yeah,
it makes it easier for debugging or like
totally.
working online, but also less information you have to send to both clients. But debugging, it's super easy. So let's take a look at see what it's trying to do. It's been a while since I've done this, but it's using raw
Oh,
JavaScript is interesting.
it's doing a bit shifting with the triple
I don't know if I do it this
doing
way.
bitwise operations.
So I'm not sure if I like that. So I would say like deterministic in JavaScript. Deterministic.
Or put item potent, maybe. Well,
I'm trying to remember what it was that I used before. Actually, I probably could find out if I go. Swap and Pop probably still exists. That's
yeah.
why you keep your repos
Well,
around. There it is, Swap and Pop. And one of it has grab. Yeah, there's the game, and I had like it was like if you have something that everybody's really passionate about, like people just show up and
yeah.
start helping. Like I made a debugger. It's insane that I did all this work, and then I was like, oh, I'm not making any money. I got to start my my education business. Literally, this is what I was doing right before my education business. I did this for 6 months, and then I had to quit it and teach people, which is fine. I like
Awesome
doing it.
though that you built that. I'm gonna go give it a star. Boom. All
But
right.
in
Cool.
here, there probably was something I used. Chai, cross, mocha. Oh, remember mocha? That's
There's like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's a like maybe it's like you were doing in Webpack. Like you can get content hashes.
seed random, I think it is. So seed random number generator, and yeah, so it's talking about the my RNG. Yeah, so it says always this, always that. So this thing, a predictable pseudo random number generator. So,
It sounds funny, predictable, random.
but the idea is that you can insert into it. It says other fast PNRG algorithms.
Okay.
Okay, so somewhere in here you can insert the seed. If we go back over to here, there's also shuffle seed. I don't know what that is, but let's go take a look at what it is. Based on random seed.
Okay.
Oh, it's an extension of this. So like if you want to use it and then have
Okay.
it for an array, okay. But like the thing is, I don't know what algorithm this uses. Here it looks like it's implementing algorithm, which might be fine. And I guess that could work, but like how does this thing work? So we go back up to here. This says seed random RNG, and then it sets it globally so that it's using all the math operations. Okay, so
Okay.
I think this might be a better thing. I'm not sure if we're going to bring it in, but can we use seed random instead? And this is now like, okay, now my question is like, now do I have to start using a package manager? Like, by the way,
Okay. You don't have to. There's a project called Unpackage from Michael Jackson, who created React Router with Ryan Florence, and they're the remix team now, well, among other people. But Unpackage is a CDN of basically ESM, but you don't have to have it with an installer like npm or anything. You can just literally do a script tag for it, and then you can use it there.
oh, so I guess here, like, how would I tell it to? Well, here it's putting in
Yeah,
Mulberry. I'm not sure why it's doing it here. That's not what I want.
yeah,
But how would we go about prompting it to do this?
yeah. So I think I would say like you want to use package X. I am currently not using a bundler. Can we use unpkg.com instead? So unpack. It's called unpackage, but it's unpkg.com.
It's already making a mess of things, but we'll give it a second here to do whatever it's doing. Um, and I'm almost tempted to kind of like wipe this away and like the state of the files here and start over because now it's starting to make a bit of a mess.
Yeah, yeah, you could do like a stop and then just like reject.
I literally brought in the file. That's really interesting. We don't want to do it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and discard all changes. Discard all changes. Yep. And we'll just hit this XXXXX. I'm not sure where the reject all is.
I'm not sure if there is a reject all. There's an accept all, but uh okay. There's I can't remember if Windsurf has it. Do they have like restored at checkpoint, or is that only a cursor thing or like a bolt.new thing?
I don't know.
Like if you scroll up in the messages there, is there it might only be something that's in cursor and bolt.new, but okay, I don't think they have it.
Have you tried lovable.deb at all?
That's the one I haven't tried yet. Tried V0, bolt.new. I got a bolt.new subscription
Mm.
just because I was building something out, and it actually was worth it for me to just pay the subscription for 1 year. But I haven't tried Lovable yet, but I've heard really good things about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, this was prior to the boot camp, like just the start of it. But at that time, Lovable was performing. It's hard to say; they always change every day, right? But
Yeah,
they were generating up more to what I want. But probably now it's just like what do you, like choose your flavor, right? They probably are both really
yeah.
really good, and I need to go back and visit. I know Bolt.new is made by somebody with something, and
Yeah,
Let's see what
it's,
base to use it.
I don't know if you ever used StackBlitz, but it basically came from them. So
Ah,
StackBlitz was like an online IDE,
hmm.
basically like using Monaco, which is like what VS Code is built with, and, yeah, they just pivoted to that, and I can't remember the whole story, but they went into Gen AI. Maybe it was just like a proof of concept for something, and then they kind of realized, hey, there's something here. It would be good to know the whole story. But yeah, Bolt.News doing extremely well now.
So here we have, oh, like, so let's see how it's used. So it does colors. And so see how we have math random. Now it's doing math.floor and it's putting the RNG in here. I'm not sure why it
Okay.
has to pass the PRNG every time, because normally you would set it globally. At least the way
Maybe
I
it's
saw it.
so that you can do like it's kind of like, just in terms of not dependency injection, but just abstracting things if you wanted to plug in something else. Maybe that's why they did it.
With seed random, can we set it globally? Because I told it to do stateless classes, and I think that's the reason why it's doing that.
Okay,
But
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, I wish I knew more about the like. There's obviously been a lot of advancement with the JavaScript, but I've been stuck in the old days, and I mean I built my own JavaScript framework right off on top of another one called Mithril, and I just
Okay, yeah, yeah, I know Mithril.
but yeah, mine on top of it's called the Lithium, and uh but I just I don't know, I just keep going back to it. So over here it says, for the example, after this line it will be deterministic and seed everywhere in your code. Oh, okay,
Okay.
so this is just call random seed. Did they set it? Let's just take a look here.
Okay.
And your seed here, global true. Uh, hmm, I did tell it to be random, right? So okay, okay. So I want the classes to be stateless, but except for PRNG because that's too much to pass.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll go back here, and that means we got to update our rules. So what was the thing? It's like when including external libraries, you use unpack,
Yeah, UNPK, yeah, exactly.
uh, except for PRNG.
And this is I'm glad you're doing this too because I feel like setting the rules here are kind of like when you write tests, it's like you have an initial set of tests, but the code base for your tests, like, it matures over time, you find more edge cases and stuff. So like you just keep improving it. And I think it's the same thing with these kinds of rules. Like you're gonna run into something that trips up the LLM at some point. So you're gonna be like, oh, let me add a rule for that so it never does that again. And
Yeah, and I mean, this obviously takes time, but like, it's part of the job, right? My dad always said, "It's like half the job is doing it, the other half is making sure everybody knows how you did it." And so,
mm,
to me, this is your technical documentation of like, it's not just what I want them to do, but also like how it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. I know back in the day, like if you wanted to understand like how code worked, the first place I'd go look at is test code. But now maybe we're now looking at windsurf rule files and things like that. Um, so it brings it in here, which is good. We'll go over to here, and so we have seed random, and so I'm looking for. Would you like me to implement these changes for you? Yes. Yes. How many times did I
yeah,
tell you yes? I feel like that's the way they're like, yeah, you get 500 whatever inputs, and then they make every other one you have to like confirm it, right?
yeah. It's like my tokens are disappearing because I kept saying yes.
But at least while it's generating, we can talk through it and try to figure out what we're looking at. So at least we're not wasting our we're not just sitting here doing nothing, right? We're not switching over
Yeah,
to our phones and twiddling our fingers. But so here we see that we have the seed and that it sets the random seed here. Is it still passing it in over here? It is. And so that's what we're trying to get it to not do.
yeah.
But let's go take a look at the tectonic plates. I don't think there's going to be anything exciting, but we have tectonic plates and we have generate point random numbers, generate random plate color, calculate the Voronoi. And so now we're kind of setting ourselves up. But like, what would make this a really good game, like game engine, is making sure we have all the layers and we can peel them back. Because like when I was building Swap and Pop, it's really
Yeah.
important that you should be able to put the game in any state to debug it, right? And
Yeah.
so we're not just trying to make the end result; we're trying to also make all the debugging, all the troubleshooting, so to speak. There is I was talking about this prior to our call, but like I'm helping my co-founder. He's my neighbor as well. He's in Greece right now, but I got a house to his
Yeah.
feet. I'm fixing his washer before he comes back, and I found the manual. And when you open it up, the manual's like it has a debug mode, and you can set it to a manual mode, and it lets you put the washer in any single state and give you back codes. We're basically building out. We want to build out our washer manual for
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
so it looks like it
I
finished.
like that approach.
It looked like it finished. Let's go over to here. Okay. Oh man, I guess so. That's not what I want. Like I keep telling it what I
Oh,
want.
okay. It's making it. There could be something you do. I've done this before with testing. Is like it really wants to pass it in, so that you have the same input. You could always set it to the default, which is the global. Um, but I know what you mean. Like to test this, because you basically you would have to set up your test to say like set the global seed to this, and which isn't the end of the world either, honestly. But yeah, it seems pretty determined, I think, because you said stateless functions. I think that's why. Even though you put that caveat, not for PRNG.
I'm gonna go here. Accept. And the question is like, I'm gonna fix it, but if I fix it, is it gonna muck with it? So we're gonna go
Yeah.
here and take a look. And we're gonna do the old thing, which is read the docs. So somewhere here, there's a way to set it globally, I believe. This is seed random. So we make a new seed. Oh, there was like a global setting. Global. Here it is.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if you set it to true there, but don't you have
Oh,
to?
here it says it's no longer available in version 3.
Okay.
Okay. So, like maybe this is where, look, it's fine for now, but at some point we just have to consider that might be technical debt. And we want to be really careful about that as it goes. And hey,
Yeah.
Andre, welcome to the stream. I didn't see you come in there, but, so we'll just have to accept it. Now the question, does it still work? Let's go back over to here. But I don't know. This just feels like when you're making, what I learned about video games is like, if it works, it works. I always try to make the code like as clean and easy to work with. But when you look at people that actually make video games, they just get it over the line, and
Yeah.
that's what's important. So right now we don't see anything. Let's go take a look here and see what our problem is. It says
Yeah.
seed random is not a function.
Okay, so is it not being imported, or no, it's set on, okay, window.seedRandom. You probably still need to import the file to make, because probably what happens is in the file that has the seed random, it probably loads it and puts it on the window object, I'm guessing.
Do you think we can do this?
Yeah, that should work if assuming that imports it. The other thing is, do you have the actual file for that being imported? Like if you go to the index.html?
Well, I don't know. So I don't know how this unpack works. I thought maybe like there's a.
Okay, yeah, no, that that should work.
Do I have to put module on it?
Oh yeah, on the script, yeah, on line 4, yeah, type module for that one too.
I'm gonna put them on the front because then that way might be a bit. Oh, I didn't ask
Yeah,
for. I
okay.
didn't ask for this one. Oh, now it's doing some. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting some. Oh, that's what it's changed. Okay, I'm
Oh
in.
yeah, it's the diff. Yeah. I got confused for a sec too. Yeah, that should load it as ESM, and then you should be able to load it in there. You might not need to do the import you did that you were adding temporarily there a second ago, at the
Oh
top.
no.
Well, because it's on Windows, so like I'm guessing that it's probably uh, doing it.
Not there. But let's go over here.
Okay.
Let's see what. I don't know if you do the imports, they're probably not accessible for here, right? Seed random. It's not. So, what I'll do is I'll go back over to here. Let's just undo for a second.
Yeah, you could just do import. Yeah, and it should be available.
And we'll go back over to here.
That looks okay. This is better. Failed to resolve module specifier seed random. Relative references must start with okay. So if you go back to the import, where is it actually complaining about that? I wonder if there's also something called an import map, but I'm not sure if you need to do that. Bu- 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 Yeah, you could do a dynamic import maybe, but okay, that's just talking about that. That's using common JS, what you were just looking at. This should be okay. When you have type module, it also loads them asynchronously. So I'm wondering if it's not there yet, like the order. Let's see. Maybe that's something to ask the LLM. Just say like, I have I have an import from unpackage. How do I know when it's loaded? Like another thing you can do is you can do a dynamic import of that URL, but I don't unless we need it right. We want it right away, so I don't think we need to do that. Oh, you're doing import seed random from seed random, but isn't that what's coming from unpackage?
Well, I just put dot / in front of it to see if that might help it.
Oh,
But
okay, yeah, you had seed random before.
oh, math.seed_random. I didn't check math.seed_random. Let's take a look there. But I don't think it sets it on that anymore. Oh, you know what? Look, there it is. .seed_random. It's on there. I
Okay.
just saw it. .seed_random.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's where it is. Okay. So it's enhancing. Okay, it's
Well,
adding to the
here's a
prototype.
question. If I take this out,
It should be available, and then just math dot seed random on line 23.
yeah, I'm just gonna test it in here quickly, make sure that it's still there. So we
Yeah,
go math.
yeah, yeah. It's there.
It is.
It's
Okay. So we'll go back over to here, and here we just have to put math in front of it.
yeah.
Let's hope so. And we'll go back
That should be
over.
good.
I keep
So
losing my Chrome here. 1 second here. I don't know why I have like 3 of them open. We'll close this one out, and
let's refresh and see. Okay, so error, but okay, that's better.
that is better.
So it's definitely finding the math.seed random now, which is good. How are we getting the PRNG again?
It sets it as a static here with math.random.
Oh, okay. Okay, PRN static. It should be public. Create an instance of tectonic plates, like in the debugger, or not the debugger, in the console.
Well, because it's stateless, we shouldn't even have to. We should be able to do tectonic. I don't know if we can reference it from here. Let's take a look here. Let's go up to this tectonic.
It should be if it loaded it up, like, oh, you're missing just if you type TEC and then press tab, or no,
Yeah,
wait,
it's not
oh
auto
no.
completing. That's why.
Okay, so it's not loading, because oh yeah, because it's because of the JavaScript error. It just didn't load it properly.
It will not
Let's
let me.
see.
Oh, you don't have. You don't understand. Review yourself. This could allow attackers. Please type allow pasting. Allow. Whoops. Allow pasting.
I must have set that a while ago because I don't see that anymore. Okay, let's see here. So static PRNG, and then static set PRNG. Um, I guess weird question, but why is there a set PRNG if okay, we're defaulting to math.random and then we're setting it after. Okay, got it. That looks okay, But
Yeah, let's take a look at the code again. The problem is I'm not paying attention enough to the code. Let's go back and take a look here at tectonic plates. So, or index.js. So we have index.js and we have our PNRG. And then here it says
yeah,
set it to here. And the idea is that if we take this, it's supposed to set it so it's accessible
yeah.
from here. And then it's supposed to be able to reference it. But this isn't a
But
function though. That's
uh, the set PRNG is a static function. So if you put a breakpoint
oh,
on
sorry. We're assigning a function to it, so it technically might be a function. But what if we just
yeah,
console log this out?
yeah, you can also put a breakpoint to see if it's breaking on line 23 in the. Are you in the? Oh, so you're in the editor. If you open up the
Terminal
uh
or
yeah,
console?
yeah, not console, but if you do Command P in yeah, open up the console. You're in sources, so just do click in there and then just do, yeah,
Well,
exactly, put a breakpoint wherever you want, wherever it was doing the set PRNG, like, or yeah, we can do that too, yeah.
oh, I called the function. I think it auto completed it.
Okay,
And I'll just do
yeah, or just see if it goes in there, yeah, just log it, I guess, yeah.
I'm just gonna put one if I want to put a breakpoint there. And then we'll go back over to here to I don't know if I have so many darn windows here. Why do I got so many windows? 1 second here. I'm just gonna close out this one and I'm gonna try to keep the stream around here.
Okay,
Close this Daggerfall one. And so now we'll go back over to here. We'll give this
okay,
a refresh.
PRNG pro. Okay, so
Um,
it's okay, so it's, oh no, it's set PRNG. Oh no, wait,
it's actually
no,
returning back a number here.
oh,
So
okay, okay.
so if we go here, 1 second, we'll click on this.
Oh, I think I know what you did. Did you call the function instead of setting it? No.
Well, let's follow through it. So here in the index.js, we actually do call it and it returns back a number.
Oh, you know what? Uh, you're so it's giving you a seed, which is the PRNG. It's not the function. That's what it
Mhm.
is. And then probably when you try to call it, it's a number, and then it goes boom. I'm guessing maybe.
Mhm.
Because like I guess what's the goal you're trying to do here? The PRNG, do you want that to be a function, or because like here it's you're
Well,
literally
I don't
setting it.
know. I don't want that at all. I wanted it anytime I just did dot random that I would get the next logical random number. It did all this junk
Oh,
here,
okay.
right?
I
So it's
I
not what
think
I want. That's what I was saying. I was like, okay, we'll let it have its junk code, but hopefully it just works. And so
yeah,
basically, it's not listening to us. And so I think what we need to do is just use the math dot random seed. But now that we have it here, if we have our seed,
yeah,
we should be able to just pass in our seed and use it wherever because this is the thing that is making it random. Let's just make sure that
yeah,
we clearly understand this. I'm going to go back over to here. Yeah, Lizzie says I sometimes find myself not paying attention to the code, and this is the problem: is that it's easy to just kind
yeah,
of zone out. What we'll do is let's go ahead and we'll just try and we'll say math.seed random. And the idea is that if we provided a number, it should always be consistent, right? So from
yeah.
the time that we enter it. So if we give it the number one, um,
Okay,
and
so that's good. So ye
is that doing well? Sometimes the seeds has to be like a string. Nope, nope. What if we do this? Okay, how does
okay,
this work? I don't seem to remember how this works. Let's go back to seed random here.
okay,
Seed random. Okay. And so we have, yeah, see how it says hello? So we'll
okay.
copy
So
this, right? And we should
yeah.
get back a number. I would say my
Oh,
RNG.
yeah. Okay. It's okay. So it's returning a function at this point, which yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we give it this, and now this is the function that we use to randomly generate a number. So this is my
Yeah,
RNG. Okay.
yeah,
So we'll go back over to here. And in here we have our seed, and this is our procedurally random number generator. So that's the thing right here.
yeah,
Um, I guess we could set it here, but that's not what I wanted to do, and it's tripping us up. So I'm going to take this out of here, and I'm going to do what it was doing before, and I'm just going to put it right back in here. So we're going to put PRNG because we're wasting too much time on this. And then
yeah,
here it wants to change it back. We'll switch that back over to that, And so that's now PRNG. Same thing with that one. So here it's doing that. So we'll have to go here and we'll have to put PRNG like that. Okay, whoops. And but wherever this gets called, it will actually have to have it now. So this here,
Yeah.
it will actually have to have the PRNG in here as well. There we go. And so that might fix our problem. See, and the
Let's
reason
see what happens.
it will probably work now is because we now are making sure we understand what we're looking at. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll go back over to where's my window? It is maybe here. I'll just open this one here. Localhost 8000. Really wants to do that 8080.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to call it with new math.seedRandom. Good point. So we'll go back over to.
Oh, because it's a class.
Yeah, and maybe like when we did it before, that's how we did it. Actually, not sure. Let's go take a look here for a second.
I think it's just a function on the math prototype, though.
Yeah, here it's new. See, we did a new here. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
right. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So
So
Andre's right.
well, I mean, Andre's paying more attention than I am to the code, which is good. But we'll go back over to here. And by the way, you know, if we get this on Steam and it makes any money, we'll give you a percentage of the royalties. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We will seed random your pay.
Seed random your pay. Okay. So we'll go back over to here, localhost 8000. And well, I mean, it's still not working, but we're getting closer. It still has a set PRNG thing in here. Get
Okay.
out of here.
Type error. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, we
it's
don't need
still
that at
there.
all.
I didn't realize it was still there. Okay.
And you might as well remove it from the class as well.
I think I did, but let's take a look here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I don't. What's it doing here? Yes, accept. Sometimes the accept thing gets in the way. I can't even see what's going on. The diffs here are driving me crazy.
You have to go into tectonic plates.
Go back here, tectonic plates.
Okay, yeah, you did remove it. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we'll go back over to here and I just keep losing the window I'm in. So we'll go back over to here. There we go.
Okay, so let's see what's going on now. Okay, PRNG is not a function. Okay, that's because you're calling it in the class and we were setting it in there before explicitly. So probably pass it into the constructor of tectonic plates.
Well, I'm going to see what it is. I'm going to use a breakpoint here. PRNG. It's
Yeah,
undefined.
yeah,
Oh.
it's because you originally had that static method to set it. And so now I would. Oh, actually, this is interesting. You need to you have to make a singleton to pass it in now, because if you pass it into the instance, the static methods aren't going to get it.
Well, I mean, I think what we'll just the whole point of being stateless is you have to pass it in every time, no matter what. And that's the part where it's verbose. So I'm going to try to do that, and you can tell me if it's
pass it
strange
into
or
the
not.
static method. Yeah,
So,
pass it into generate random points. Yeah, exactly.
oh, so I didn't even pass it in here. Okay.
Yeah, it's missing at the end. That's why. Okay.
For those who wonder, I usually use Vim. I usually code in Mac Vim. But I do have Vim commands on here, but we'll take this off here. I don't want this on here. And let's take that off as well.
No errors. Boom.
Did GenAI help? Yes and no.
Yeah. But I'm glad we've kind of gone through this struggle, though, because like I think this is realistic. You know, I mean, like we're not doing a perfect YouTube video here, and like I think people could end up in these certain scenarios. Well, you know, like there's a few things we've done here. Like we've been building out the rules. You've been chatting with the LLM, but we've also been like, hey, let's just review this first. And you know what? That's not the right approach, even though we asked it for stateless and so on. So I know we're back to where we started for the most part, but like we understand things better now, like you were saying, and we can obviously move forward now. But kind of looks like a stained glass window. Yeah, there we go.
It's Daggerfall.
Ship it.
But
All right.
So So like, what I would normally do, I'm assuming we're out of time, but what I would normally do next is I would want to put the seed in there, like
Yeah.
as a field. And there's actually some kind of library. Actually, I can't remember. I've seen it before. I don't know where I've seen it, but there's like a UI editor JavaScript for video games, change variables. Like I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Um, but there is a yeah, it's like UIL. I've seen it before, but I can't remember where I saw it, but there's like a drop down. It looks kind of like this, but the idea is that we can change the seed in place.
Okay.
And it's very common for people to use it in video games, especially for 3JS, I think. Yeah, like 3JS editor for variables, maybe.
Okay.
And trying to find an image of one if I can find it. But anyway, if I could find that, I would put that in the game, and then that idea is that I would have the numbers exposed so I can change it, and then we
Okay.
could play around the seed. And then the next thing I would want to do is I'd want to control the state of which the layers are created. And so obviously
Okay.
after that, we would then uh, set the movement of where the tectonic plates are going, and then have every
Okay. Yeah.
single step. But anyway, yeah, that's Daggerfall in 0.0001%. But yeah, I felt like AI was helpful and also in my way.
Yeah. No, that's a good takeaway. Like it's not like I was kind of saying before, it's not like some all-knowing oracle and it's not gonna magically build it out for you. You really have to guide it. I think the rules definitely help with that, but also like being you have to kind of get in the nitty gritty, especially if you're building a game like I don't know, I want icicle, I want snow on the mountains, anytime the tectonic plates touch, something happens. And like uh it just gets back to what we are saying about like communication and still having to understand what you're doing. It's not just like obviously you can just like YOLO it and just say like build me something and just go with it. But I don't know. I thought this was pretty fun. I know, like you said, we could have maybe gone further with like the learning Japanese game, but I thought this was fun, even though like we're kind of back to where we were, but like we understand it better now. And I think the thing that might be fun is if people want to maybe try to continue building Daggerfall, if you're cool with like pushing
Oh
up the
yeah.
repo. I know there's not much there yet, but could be interesting. I don't know, little challenge to people in the chat, or people that catch this later, feel free to grab the repo and then let us know, how far you got.
And I gotta remember, how do you make repos public? It is here. Change to public.
Oh
So be
yeah.
it. I'm calling it Ravenblade. That's my Daggerfall ripoff name.
All
Make it
right.
a public
Cool.
repository, but I'll probably continue. Like when I have time, I'll be I'll be chipping away at this thing because it's just like my little fun project that I've been working. Like I have another repo of this, but
Okay.
I didn't build it like this, and this is the way
Okay.
that I want to build it, which is like layer by layer and being able to peel back the layers and have full troubleshooting debugging as you work through it.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's super fun though, man. I enjoyed it. It was fun just chatting and oh yeah, thanks Lizzie. Glad you liked it. Um yeah, I dropped a link to the GenAI Cloud Project Bootcamp .com again if folks want to check that out. This is how many weeks is it? Like roughly, like obviously you do it on your
Six
own time,
six
but
weeks. Well, it was a live cohort, but now like we put it in a syndication into free code camp. We are going to run another cohort maybe in October, just
okay.
because there is huge demand to run it again because AI is going to be like so different from that period of time, right? So,
Oh yeah, totally.
um, yeah, I think people are going to rejoin. We're going to be able to get farther through our projects, but that was very comprehensive, where we covered everything, basically deployment, securing stuff, local models, cloud Gen AI models,
Okay.
everything. Yep.
Nice. No, that's super cool. Well, listen, Andrew, always love hanging out with you, and I know you always have a lot of things on the go, so I appreciate you taking the time to hang today. And thanks everybody in the chat. Lots of great questions and conversation there. And I will see you in the next one. I think just trying to think. Let me check the schedule real quick. I think the next Pomerium live stream is with Sean Roberts from Netlify, who's leading kind of AI over there. Let me just check the schedule. Yeah,
And
that's it. I'll
Netlify
drop the
makes
link.
it really easy to access open source models. I was using it a few weeks ago. It was really nice.
No, that's cool. Yeah. I haven't, yeah, we're going to be talking about MCP, so like model context
Mhm.
protocol and the servers. So I was actually at the first model context protocol dev summit last week in San Francisco. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm curious to dive in with what they've been doing over at Netlify and see what's going on there. I know they also have like a windsurf integration. So like if you haven't checked that out, that's available too. But yeah, so check that out. That's on June 19th, so like in a little bit, but looking forward to that. And take care, everybody. Andrew, if you don't mind just staying on for 1 second, and we'll see you in the next.